Is this mic on? Can you guys hear me? It's on? Cool. It is Friday, the last day of the conference at 3:40 p.m., and we've got a lot of people here. So thank you all for joining. Hopefully you're having a great time. Have you guys all gotten to check out the gaming lounge at all? Yeah, there we go. Well, if not, you still got some time, and there's some awesome games and developers out there. So, I'm Ed. I lead our gaming biz dev here at Ava Labs. It's been a really exciting time for Web3 gaming, and especially gaming on Avalanche. But I'm joined by some awesome game devs here. So, fellas, why don't you just take a minute or so, introduce who you are, your game, a little bit about you. We'll start with you, Ali, and we'll go this way.
Hi, I'm Ali. I'm the CEO of Dynasty Studios. We work on a game called Providence, and my background is I've been in the games industry, doing like Web2 games in the last 12 years. So in the last 2 years, we kind of switched to Web3 gaming, and we're very happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Fernando. I'm the game director on Pulsar, and we have been developing games for most of the team for a long time. The co-founders, we have been 20 years almost in the industry, and we have experience in mobile and AAA, and we are making this MMORTS that takes combat from StarCraft, reusable dungeons from Diablo, and then 4x persistent economy. MMORTS, if that makes sense.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to take a quick second just to say thank you to everybody at Avalanche for putting on such an awesome week. As obviously the week's closing out now, so I just wanted to say a big thanks to the event staff for giving us this platform, to showcase our games. I am Peter from Grow Studio. We were established in 2020, are a 45-strong multicultural collective of creative and technical talent, with a shared vision for creating engaging and innovative entertainment experiences. Our first public playtest was this week for our game Mindborn Sons, which is a third-person, team-based battle arena focused on engaging with players on a deeper level, coming from an authentic place by using cultural resonance as our USP. Our game leverages the rich mythologies of Southern Asia to try and engage with players in a different way than has been done so far in Web3.
I'm Pasquale, CEO and co-founder at Ava Labs, a software house game studio founded in 2021 working on BloodLoop. BloodLoop is a hero shooter game coming from titles such as Valorant or Overwatch, but in a more casual style approach, so not that competitive, easier for people to engage with. As well, we presented for the first time our playtest and game demo at the Summit this year, so we're very thankful to Ava Labs for this opportunity, and we're really pleased with the feedback that we got from you guys which played the game.
Cool. Let's jump into the questions. So, obviously, we work in crypto, which moves fast, but I feel like Web3 gaming moves even faster. Right? I joined in December 2021, and back then everyone was copying the Axie 2-token model, and then they moved to a 1-token model, and now a lot of games don't even have their own game token. So not only that, the metagames seem like a lot of these kind of early pixel games, a lot of MMORPGs and trading card games, and then now there's the sky's the limit in terms of diversity of gameplay. So, how do you think about future-proofing your game when dev cycles can be pretty long for the games that you're building?
If you don't mind, I'll jump on right away. So the main issue, and you mentioned it, was tokenomics so far. Many games doesn't take in account that liquidity is not like something unlimited that you can always try and add on top of your own token, and you can't count on people keep on you can't always acquire new user that can push capital towards your game. So of course, probably the biggest future-proofing activity that you could do for your game is avoiding relying on outside liquidity to be added and just focusing on player-to-player entertainment and fun and trading player-to-player so that you don't really need to worry about keeping the price up, keeping the liquidity up, or otherwise the game will kind of die off because of that. And of course, gameplay is the key. Building a fun game is what will drive the ecosystem forward.
This is very interesting. I was talking to some guys today who were developing a game, and they were not still in the crypto part of it, but they were making a game that actually showed some retention, and they were worried about that because they say it's not crypto yet. You know, we're not. Is that okay? But actually, you know, if the game is fun, this is what is going to retain, right? Look at Axis, right? But you cannot have people playing on a sustained basis just for incentives. So we all know that. But still, people is scared when they go this way. But this is the right way.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to add a little bit to that as well. Obviously, we all seen, you know, the kind of rise and fall of Web3 gaming through the 2021 cohort, 2022, and I felt like, you know, when I was we were, you know, deep ingrained in the space, working with different Web3 games ourselves, as a service provider, and we've seen time and time again that Maria mentioned it actually on the last panel, where teams were making the mistake of going out there with a token, first and foremost, pitch deck, a token, and NFTs, and rightly so, you know, the Web2 audience looked at this as a money grab type situation. So players, like, we know that they're not motivated. The players are playing every day of the week, not for money, because they enjoy, you know, the game, and they, you know, will have some sort of connection to it other than financial. So we should be trying to reinvent the wheel here. We should understand that gamers resonate with games through things other than financial incentives, so don't lead with that. As a studio ourselves, we decided at the end of 2021 to start building for the bear market, and our biggest goal with that was to build the game all the way to MVP, to playable demo, without ever having sold anybody an NFT or anybody a token. And so that when we went to open our community up to the game, they would have something to play from day one, and that relationship between us and the gamer could be more authentic and more honest. And we hope that, you know, that benefits us in the future and our users.
I can also say that I think I should kind of redrop the whole term of like token economics and just talk about the game economy. I think that is the crucial, like, for any kind of game. Like, we should really focus on talking about how the game economy works, how the players are gonna be existing in the economy of the game, and, you know, regardless of Web2 or Web3, the tokenomics, I think, you know, like, it is definitely part of the Web3. But again, I think I would say that, like, you know, our focus on the gameplay features, and how that works with the game economy with, you know, different players, like it can be free to play, paid players, and so on. So I think we should really focus on, you know, that's what we do in the Web 2, right? Focus on the different player types, like how much they spend, the free players, paid players, and so on. And we have to kind of do that and do that translation to the Web 3, seeing that, like, how, like, players can differentiate from each other. So that is, I would say, we should definitely more talk about the game economy as Web 3 developers.
Yeah, how do you think it's a little different, or is it different at all from, you know, developing games in Web 2, which I think a lot of you guys have done as well, right? Because kind of the meta right now is free to play. You add in this layer of potentially token incentives or economics, NFTs, liquidity. You know, does that change at all how you think about, you know, reaching out to your players, or like the 90-10 rule of like who's paying or who's spending money versus who isn't?
You're looking at me because you want me to answer.
Yeah, I mean, my view on it is, you know, our studios within Web3, and any gaming studio really should be thinking of their business as a network. You know, so it grows through network effects. And the mistake that we've seen in Web3 is the early assumption that selling a token and providing a token to a community is you bootstrapping network effects. But in reality, network effects, when you cut it down to its core, Metcalfe's law basically states that the network's value is proportional to the square root, or to the square of the number of connected users. And the mistake that people in Web3 make often is that they don't understand the connected. They forget about the connected part. So if you imagine that every user in your network, every token holder in your network is a node, the node's growth, or the network's growth and its subsequent value can only take place if those nodes are active. You need active nodes in your network. So if you're selling your tokens to investors who put it in a wallet and don't use it within your network, it's not going to stimulate network effects. You really need to find users that are going to interact with that network for it to work and for it to grow.
Ideally, I can have a pretty different vision. Of course, I do agree with him in terms of you do want your user to use what you're providing them and what you're getting them to buy into your ecosystem. But at the same time, at least for our company and what we are trying to achieve, we are not really looking towards the differences between Web 2 and Web 3. Like, we're building a game. The only thing you have to think about when you're providing the game to the users is how easy it is to play, how easy it is to get into the ecosystem. So as much as it could be Web 2 or Web 3, if the game is easy to play and you don't have to go through a series of paywall or a series of like, download this, download that, just to get to play the game will succeed, at least for user acquisition, if you are fun to play and if people can find value within just the gameplay. Web 3 users are Web 2 users. They're just leveled up into knowing how to use MetaMask and understanding what's crypto. So it's easy to just onboard the next ones if you know how to make it easy for them to do it without like too many steps.
Something that my totally subjective experience with this is that in 2020, I left the game industry. I didn't want to make any more games. I was working in a big company at that point, and I was using neurosciences and psychology to just squeeze a little bit more the revenue. And it was fine, but I didn't came to make games for that. I didn't want to do it, so I just left. And I just I have an MBA. I know what business is like, so I understand that. I just wanted to do something different, so I went and did something else. I didn't want to make a game anymore. And then my co-founder, he came and said, look, we are going to make this game, it's going to be crypto, it's going to be this way. And then I saw something, and that's why I say this is my subjective approach, idealistic, is that when you are in a free-to-play game, you really don't need to make a game that is fun. You just need to make a game that is detective. No? Put paywalls in something, and then you get money. That is spoiling for me the experience of a game. Some people just want to pay 60 euros and then don't tell me about the transactions or whatever, right? So what I see here is the opportunity to do that here, to make games great again, if you will, right? Because, for example, in our game, you can just buy one NFT and you can open to other players, the other players can use it, and then you can get some passive income out of that. Since you are monetizing that, you don't necessarily need to monetize the other ones. Of course you won't, you can put some live monetization on top of that and so on, but the thing is that your monetization is already there. If you don't need to make like a whole lot of money, whatever, you can allow those people to have a nice experience. So I want to explore that. I want to see where do we get there. Right? Do we want to make the maximum amount of money always at the cost of everything, or do we want to make fun games? I don't know. Let's see.
That's a good thank you guys. It's a good segue to my next question, which is, one way out of this bear is if we can get mass adoption across all the games, right? A year from now, if we're sitting here and everyone has millions of wallets, we'll all be really happy, and maybe we'll have a party up here. But if you could name one thing, and that could be anything, that you think is kind of the key driver for mass adoption for Web3 gaming, specifically maybe your game or your vertical or Avalanche in general, what would that be? And let's say if someone's already said something, then you can't say it again.
Freedom. So far, gamers have had a very bad experience in doing what they want with their own assets and whatever they bought or crafted or made in a game. And that comes, like, I mean, that's an experience I've experienced it myself. I've spent thousands of dollars on League of Legends skins that I will never be able to sell because Riot Games would hate me and would ban my account and I would lose all my money. I believe that gaming works. I mean, we have 3 billion active users in the traditional gaming world. It means that the gaming sector doesn't really need like an innovation that solves a problem, but extra steps that can allow users to do whatever they want and help them monetize their time spent in game is probably the key to why Web3 should be integrated in traditional gaming.
Yeah, I gotta add something. I kind of think that a lot of the opportunity in Web3 is built around the engagement of a community. It's really something that helps drive growth, and for us, what creates a strong community? There needs to be a trust there between the community and also the developer. So the developer needs to really be very conscientious about how they approach the users and approach their community. Be hands-on and make sure that they understand your why, and that your why is something bigger than just a game. Have a reason for doing what you're doing, whether that be to promote diversity, promote cultures that are a little unknown, or provide opportunity where there currently isn't enough opportunity. We're trying to go down this path ourselves, and we have set up our studio in Southern Asia because we believe the mythology and the culture of that region has not really been told in a big way, on a global scale. So if we can engage an audience across that entire region where they connect with the IP because of this resonance of having grown up with the culture and the mythologies over years and years, it's going to remove this whole focus on financial aspects.
I can jump in. So I think there are two things. I think one is to drive mass adoption, your game is also needs to be somewhere like a unique, I would say, attractive for also the Web 2 players. So getting a popular genre from Web 2 and then make it Web 3 is not really going to drive the mass adoption because players already kind of playing the Web 2 version of the game, and that already has like millions of players and so on. So I would say your game pitch without Web 3 in it needs to be appealing to the gamers. So that is obviously the first thing. The second one is, at least for us, user-generated content. When you look at the Web, successful Web 3 games, like Web 2 games like Roblox or Minecraft or Fortnite, they all have very strong user-generated content features. So, and that is actually a perfect kind of example and use case for blockchain and Web 3 tech. And that is, again, I think helping with the community involvement, I think that is one of the key catalysts. So if you really make a good game with Web3, blockchain tech, kind of supporting the whole user-generated content, and have some kind of unique appeal, I would say that would definitely kind of start the adoption to come much, much faster because it's a good product, it's a good technology, and then you're offering something Web2 companies cannot offer on top. And that will, I think, for me, that will drive the mass adoption.
Yeah, you're building on what you all said, which we agree with is, for me, it's a double-sided thing. You need adoption from the biggest platforms, right? Like Steam and Epic Games, and also once they have that, people are going to come in, and then that's going to be moving forward. But something that totally what you're saying, the pitch should be people shouldn't even notice this is a Web3 game because they don't need to. In our game, I'm not trying to make publicity, is just because it's the example that comes to my mind. We from the very beginning, we did it in a way that you play and you have an internal wallet, but you know that because you don't need to know that, and that is the key. Is UX thing. Why the hell do you need to ask them to connect a wallet? They don't need it for anything, right? Just manage that for them. And in the moment someone wants to take the token outside of it, then you say you need to connect your wallet, but that person knows what they're doing at that point, right? But most of the people, they are not going even to notice that they can do that because they don't need it. So don't put things that make things complicated just because no one asked for that.
Cool, very insightful. Thanks, guys. We talked about player liquidity early on. Let's talk about a different type of liquidity, which is investor liquidity, right? So I think all of you are in varying stages or either having finished or are in the process of fundraising. So if there's any investors in the audience, come talk to these guys after. What can you share about the fundraising process in a bear market? Any advice? There's other game developers here. Any insights, learnings that you can share?
A lot, sure. Go on. I don't want to feel all the time.
Yeah, the situation right now is not that easy. The market, of course, drives everything, and given the market is down, investments are down, which means that you really need to understand what are your potential and if you do want to burn your opportunities now or after with fundraising. So most of the times you have one chance with investors. You have only one shot that you can drive towards an investor, a fund, a capital, an angel, or whatever, and you do really want to time it well. Market so far has not been good, although it might seem like it could be recovering. I'm not trying to jinx it now. build whatever you have with build, do whatever you can to get the best version of your product, the best MVP you can with what you have in your hands. Don't spend too much, don't like throw money at developers which are not worth the money you're paying. And at some point, if your game is good and if there's like, if you have the capability to execute, you will be able to raise. If the product shows that even with little to nothing you can build it, then it will come by itself at some point. But yeah, the market is...
Yeah, I'd add a little bit. Like Grow have been fortunate to have been bootstrapped essentially from day one. So, you know, being a bootstrapped company, we have had to be efficient, you know, at all times. I often hear people talking about, you know, runway. And when I think of runway, you know, and an Irishman, I think of like this little pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, you know, that kind of, you know, it just comes, it appears, and it's just not something we've ever had. So we have to be efficient. We've always had to be efficient. And we know that having built a product, you know, self-funded the product all the way through to MVP, that we're at a point now where we've got a strong foundation to, you know, go out to investors and show that, you know, we've scaled from 1 person to 45, 2 physical studios, built to MVP without using any VC capital. And going forward, obviously, we know how to manage money. So I guess it's just about being efficient at all times and not drinking the Kool-Aid during the bull market. Make sure you're putting money back into the business all the time and be healthy, be smart.
Well, yeah. So I think, yeah, as I said, like as you guys said, I think playable is important at this stage, like the traction. If you had a KPI, that'd be great to have. But I think strong teams with, you know, like if they find the core game loop early, which is, you know, same from the like, you know, any kind of game development, instead of kind of build, like you have to build a deep kind of feature set, but as long as like the core gameplay is fun and you can show it to people, I think your job is like way easier. You don't have to build like you know, 100 levels or thousands of assets. It just have to be kind of short and small, but it kind of shows the promise of the game quite early. And investors will be fine with that. They don't need to see like a super polished demos. They just need to see the product is there, the idea is there, the fun part is there. And other than that, I think of course having a strong team, good background is always important. And yeah, depending on the market, of course, like, you know, equity rounds, token rounds, or nowadays I guess it's both. That has to kind of happen. So you know, and then you have to kind of. I think the key is to find. You know, that kind of survival, make like a kind of survivability in the industry, and because we're all kind of like developing games right now, it's still early stages. There will be more kind of like markets, like bull markets, will come in. So like everyone's, I think, goal is to kind of you know, have that a product when the bull market hits, and then kind of leverage from that and build top.
So in our case, we started racing. And when we have, it was very quick, and we have half of the round, and then we would look at our books, so we were saying, oh, what do we want to partner with? It was a beautiful moment, right? And then Terra goes and crashes. And hello market, no, we're not pleased to meet you here, bear market. So we did a few things there. The first was decide to stop to race, which was kind of hard because it was scary. And it was good for us because our hypothesis there was that if we have a more developed product, it's going to be easier to find capital later. But if you're going to do something like that, my advice will be sit down and say exactly what are the hypotheses you are trying to prove. Once you have that, you have to break it down and say what are the features you want to have, and then only build those. And then roll up your sleeves, get up your Excel, and this is the hard part, and make your cost projection. And if you have a business plan, update it or whatever, and then make sure that with the money you have, you're going to be able to get there, right? Now, you cut your costs. We did it by recruiting in more cost-effective countries, and that was fine. The problem is that at some point we have people in Dubai, in 2 different places in Russia, and in Spain, in Chile, and in California. So you can imagine how it was to set up a meeting. Like, hey, we have a 90 seconds slot here, so you know we can get there. So it was difficult, but it was really, really helpful. something that I found very helpful is to say, this is the roles we need, this is the salary we can pay. Because the first person I approached, I didn't have that in mind. I was offering much more than what we could responsibly offer. And that was a terrible error. You have responsibility. If you are telling someone to come, you need to offer some stability also, right? And then after that, we had to change the roadmap completely, swap it. And then it was scary because we have three layers of gameplay with different user audiences, and they were 3 different hypotheses. And we have to take like a vertical slice, right? And then it was scary. You have to reformulate your hypothesis. But if you do it like what I was saying from the very beginning, this is what we are trying to prove. These are the features. This is what is the people we need, how much we pay, and you stick to that, then you can get through that. So it's going very well for us thanks to this.
Cool. We only got a couple minutes left, so I want to end on a high note somewhat. I think one thing from our perspective, where we get to see you guys build all the games in our ecosystem, it's been very impressive. You guys are all very tenacious. You guys are very awe-inspiring, and I think it's amazing to see you guys continue to build through this. And so, last question here is, how do you guys maintain focus, and how do you stay bullish in this market? How do you motivate your team to continue, feeling like everyone's bought in and everything?
I would say, again, going back to understanding and having a clear commitment to your why. Why are you here? If it's about money, then you're going to burn out and you're not going to remain here when the market goes bare, and that goes right through. It has to be a company culture, so the people you bring on, if you're driving the bus, the people you bring on and sit on the seats of that bus need to really understand the why and be committed to it, because there is going to be tough times in the crypto market. We all know that, so make sure that you're bringing people in that share the vision, and they'll always support you. You often hear founders saying that being a CEO or a founder is a isolated place, but not if you have the right team. If you've onboarded the right people, you know that you've got family there who will hold you up when times are tough.
To add on top of that, I'd say that events like this shows really why we're doing it. So bringing your product and seeing people smile, curse, have fun whilst playing your product really tells you that you're doing.
A lot of cursing.
Yeah. Really tells you that what you're doing is the right thing. Although the market might be the worst and the situation and liquidity and money might be tight, when you really get the experience, that feeling that people are having fun and they will have fun, and you're changing their 5 minutes playing, they might be upset and they're getting fun from the product. That's what really drives any probably game developer and game studio towards. And it should be the same for Web3. Changing people time and lives sometimes.
And I would say also, like, we're here to build great products. They're a great team. They're building great products. We should focus on that. The markets will change. It's tough for everyone, but we just focus on building and making good games. And as I agree, being here, showing the game, people having fun is a huge boost for the team. Just developing, and they see actually that people are commenting on it, they're having fun. That is, I think, the key. Just we focus on the building, and things will be better much sooner.
For me, it's been recklessly optimistic, and if you're lucky to have someone I'm lucky to have a wife that she has her own successful career. I don't know how she managed to do that. I have 2 kids. Without her, it would be absolutely impossible. So that's important too.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Round of applause.